Today is the day before the first day of shooting. Last night I finished the last draft of the script. I think the definition of a good director is a director who knows what he wants. You know, is willing to have input, but at the same time has a very clear picture of what he's going after and how he's getting there. And that picture of what he's trying to deal with is the larger picture of the story that he's telling, which involves the characters and involves the sets and involves everything else. But each department has a tendency to want to overwhelm the movie with its department. You know, the sets are everything and everybody else is nothing. And the actors are everything and everybody else is nothing. You know, it's the soundtrack is everything and everything else is nothing. The camera work is everything and everything else is nothing. And that's not true. The story is everything. And everything else should work in concert with that to tell the story. And as a tool being used to tell a story. So you have to keep everything in balance. And it's natural that anybody who's doing something in their department would think their department's the most important department. But in the real world, it's a small clog in a large clock. It's like in the films, the earlier films, Mark Hamill would complain about the fact that he didn't know the important pieces of information, like that Darth Vader was his father, until he actually told him. I said, well, it really wasn't important for you to know that he was his father until he told you. Because before that, you're supposed to play it like you don't know, and if you knew, it would sort of give you all kinds of thought processes that you would complicate situations that you don't really need to go through. So I don't think it's important for the actor to know everything about the character in order for them to play the part. They need to know enough to give the right feel and look and persona to the character at that particular point in time. In the films that I directed, especially, you always do end up in this thing where you have a vision of something, and then you compromise it down from there, and you have to give up a lot when you actually try to make it real. And that was always a difficulty for me before when I was starting out. I think for anybody starting out, the ugly face of compromise is something you really have to cope with and come to grips with. Fortunately, over the years, age, maturity, a lot of experience sort of helps you to realize that not all the compromise is bad, and that you know, part of the world is working within certain limitations. So I think I've come to better terms with that whole issue. And then once in a while you get very lucky. Raiders of the Lost Ark was a film that I had a vision, had an idea, I wanted to do it. The script came out better than I thought. The casting came out better than I thought. The film, the directing of the film itself came out better than I thought. And it was always sort of a constant, exciting present that happened every day, rather than a compromise. As opposed to the other films where I had this vision and I was sort of compromising them down. Raiders was one that sort of grew up. And so far I'd put this film more in the Raiders category than in the Star Wars category.